What's been
Yes.
the biggest deal that you've closed today?
The biggest deal on the spot with no upsells,
Sorry, say
143,000.
that say that one more time.
143,000. Yes. See.
143,000.
So by 20s, various universities finished a PhD in social psychology. The last month I invoiced for 23K. Like last Saturday, I wasn't working and I collected
Yeah.
36.1K in cash and I wasn't even working.
Ladies, we have someone very, very special. I'm very, very excited to introduce to you guys today. Now, this is Saskia. So, Saskia, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Okay, so hi everyone. I started high ticket sales last year, September. So it's been about 10-ish months, nearly a year. Before that, I was working in academia, had like a 10-year sort of research career. Over my 20s, various universities, finished a PhD in social psychology. And then at the end of my PhD, there was the big question of where to go next. And then I ended up in high ticket sales and have been in that profession ever since.
Okay, now talk to me about that because that is quite unusual, right? 10 years, and then like this, you go, actually, I'm going to go into high ticket sales. Like, how did you even hear about it? What even made you decide to go down that path?
So I think it's in a way it was straightforward, but not another way it was like a really, really complicated decision. So my partner was in sales and then in high ticket sales. And so
Yeah,
he was sort of living that already. And he was on an offer for men in their 40s with health issues. So it was
yeah.
sort of biohacking, but very medical focused. And while I was writing my PhD dissertation, he was taking calls in the same room, and I could just hear him have conversation with people where you could tell like he was changing people's lives because it was
Yeah.
like a really, really good product. And the men were like so moved, and sometimes their wives would jump on later on once they've joined the program and were talking about how their whole life has changed. And coming from a social psychology background, and my research has been about identity and emotions. So for me, it was always about sort of how to impact people. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm writing a dissertation. I'm using so many words to try and help people when actually there's someone sitting in the room who's really helping people.
Yes.
And I think that was
Ooh.
the moment where I was like, oh, okay, I can make an impact
Yeah.
that is way more real than just writing words on a
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah. Now, the question that everyone always wants to know is everyone wants to know the numbers. So,
Okay.
Saskia, let me ask you this. In the 10 months you've been in high ticket sales, what has been your biggest month to date?
Okay, so my biggest month was last month, but I know that this month is like going to be way bigger. Last
Ah, okay.
month,
Yeah, yeah, go on.
so last month I invoiced for 23K. With
23K
yeah.
already. And where are we pacing for this month?
So I'm currently at 18K and I have 2 weeks
On the
left to
13th, on the 13th of the month.
yeah, so they're like, I think I'm even a bit higher. I stopped tracking because my offer has a few bonus
Okay.
structures in place, as
Yeah.
many offers have. So I didn't include the bonus. So pure commissions, I'm 18K and we have 2 weeks left. So I
Yeah.
think this will be a 30K plus month.
Now, a lot of people, right, they dream of being on offers where they can even close like 10K. I know a lot of reps have like limiting beliefs about like that number specifically and like upwards, and they get very nervous, price
Yeah.
dropping. It's like they're holding their breath, but it's also their relationship with money. You've
Mhm.
closed much bigger deals. What's been
Yes.
the biggest deal that you've closed today?
The biggest deal on the spot with no upsells, so really first time
Yeah.
price was
Sorry,
143,000.
say that one more time.
143,000, yes. See.
143,000.
Yeah, 143K, yeah.
What went through your head at that moment?
I was sweating so much. I can't tell. So on my offer, when we do these big calls, we do two call
Yeah,
process, right? There, what I find at a certain number, you can't do one call closes anymore because you're
yeah,
losing the prospect because then it's
yeah,
it's a B2C offer, but we have B2B prices.
yeah,
So there's two call process. And it was a couple. And I know he was the decision maker. So I spoke to both of them. I had her full buy-in, and I know she was sort of the internal push, but he
Yeah.
was going to be the one paying.
Yeah.
And he was sharp. Like this was like a proper businessman. He was sharp. And I was like, it felt like he was eating me alive in the sense
Yeah.
of like how quick he was. And so I was like trying to navigate it. And then on the second call, it was a lot about logistics because we wanted to make sure that this is all in place. But I was just like, I was afterwards, I looked like I took a shower because that's how stressed,
Yeah.
but also
Yeah.
adrenaline was
You're
coursing through my
taking
body. It was
payments.
insane.
Meanwhile, you're like
I
doing
was
this.
like,
You're like the 16 digits when you're ready.
it was insane. It was this one was a payment plan over
Yeah.
breaking down in 6 months. Even though he paid the second month now, I know next month I will try and get the rest as a PIF.
Yeah.
Singular as a PIF, the highest number was 76,000. That was a
And
PIF.
so on what? On 10% comms? So
Yeah.
7.6K.
Yeah.
You're telling me that you made $7,600 in one day.
Yeah. Well, I actually, funnily enough, for me, it's like the moment I have one close in, it's like all the closes coming in that day. So
Well,
that day was
oh,
actually more.
what an interesting point. Why do you think that is?
Mm, hmm. Interesting. I never thought about why that is. And it's also, there's even an extra caveat to it because I'm not taking calls on Saturdays, but Saturday
Yeah.
is always the day where the numbers are coming in.
Yeah.
Like last Saturday, I wasn't working and I collected
Yeah.
36.1K in cash and I wasn't even working.
Well, you know what's interesting, right? Is how people show up when they're having good weeks versus bad weeks,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
When you're on a roll, you just made 7.6K. I'm sure you're like, where's my next call? Like, how do we do this again? This was dope. I'm
Yeah.
sure on the other end though, when you have a call that you lose and you're like, oh God, I hope I
Mm,
don't lose. You see, the state is different,
mm.
and not enough people talk about this because, and this is something that we have even discussed is how important that state is and that shift that you made. And so I'd love for you to elaborate on like the mindset and state that has really carried you through and allowed you to hit some of these big numbers.
So this is actually, I think, the most important subject in sales because, the reason why I think it's the most important is because actually closing a deal or the skill, the strategy, it's at the end of the day, you're just having a human to human conversation,
Yeah.
right? But if you're out of state, then you're thinking about all the things that you need to say and you're trying to
Yes.
orchestrate. When
Yeah.
actually in real life, you're just having a real life conversation. And the best calls I've had were the calls where I went in thinking, oh, this is a non-qualified lead anyways. And I was just having a conversation and boom,
Yeah.
deals.
Yeah, because
Um,
it doesn't matter. There's no
no,
pressure. You're like
exactly.
you're so
Yeah,
present in the conversation. You're not
yeah,
thinking about what's the next question I ask, how do I do this? It's like you're just listening. And
yeah.
it's funny how when we actually do that, we end up closing the deal.
Easy, yeah. And because you already, I know it's a good call when I have a nearly an outside view of what's happening in the call. And it's in a weird way, you kind of make love to them. Like you're
Yeah.
having this brainchild together with the person. That's why when those people, when you have that magic, and you don't have it in every call sometimes maybe you're not getting it quite right or there's something, but when you're making this beautiful little brainchild with a prospect and then they don't close for whatever reason. Those are the ones that are like where I'm just like, where did where did I lose the person? Like it was such a beautiful conversation. Where did I miss it? But coming back to state, I've been thinking about it a lot, particularly last month, where you know the calls were just like happening, and I had my biggest deal, which was 143K. What I found is that the first 10 minutes of a call close a deal. And or you already know the objection. And I've been training the second closer on my team, who was my setter first. Now she's starting to close, and she has a close rate of 50%. And we've spent nearly 2 weeks only dialing in the first 10 minutes of how you present yourself, how you set the frame and everything. And what we've done, and I stole that from all the amazing sales trainers that I've been having the pleasure to work with. But there's something which is a sort of pre-call checklist, and it's everything that comes on that checklist is what you're naturally lacking in a call or what you're naturally not good at. So for
Yeah.
me, for example, I know my strength and I'm really good at seeing bigger pictures and I'm good at connecting dots and contextualizing for others.
Yeah.
One of my weaknesses is like I'm a fucking talker. Like I love to talk,
Oh,
but
that
it's
makes
not
two of
my
us.
it's not my sales calls is not my stage to talk. And it's not like I have a sense, obviously, I've done all the degrees, so I feel like, oh, I want to info dump on them and give them so much
Hmm.
knowledge, but that's not what they're here for. And so on my pre-call checklist, it's the first thing is you're here to listen.
2 years, one mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
And then
even
mm-hmm.
for you, right? I mean, being in this space for 10 months and even speaking from my own personal experiences, I look back and I'm like, I literally was a different person.
Yeah.
Like, quite literally, if I show my friends videos of me back in the day, they go, Emma, that's not you. I go, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, it is. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious, right? Because sales requires, it's like a mirror for personal development.
Mm-hmm.
In what ways have you actually seen as you've grown in this space, like the actual like changes like for yourself, both inside and outside of sales?
So interesting. And in the past, I feel like 4 weeks, I've become a complete new person. But I became a new person
Yeah.
before the success came. Something changed in the past 2 weeks of like, maybe it's also because I turned 30 and then you become more yourself anyways. Um, but I think the biggest
Yeah.
change is the money mindset. Because I come from academia, which is sort of where you value the brains, but there is no money really. Like in academia, you don't make a lot of money. It's
Hmm.
very hard, high pressure, but it's like all for the sort of intellectual stimulation. And then going into sales, and I'm on an offer with extremely high ticket prices, then sort of realizing, okay, money exists. Money is there. People have money. Like money is out there. You
It's the
just need to
story, it's
figure
the
out where to
story you
get
tell
it.
yourself. If you tell yourself money is hard to make, your
Yeah.
brain is going, and this is like the same thing. It's like, oh my God, my voice. Is your brain is going to go to work to find evidence of that belief, which is
100%.
why so many people stay stuck. And even like for you, like like it was a massive like shift from like what you
Yeah.
did to get into high ticket sales. Like, what were there doubts? Were there
Oh,
hesitations?
so many.
What was the
I've done
biggest one?
um mm. So I mean, obviously, I was lucky because I had a partner who was already living that and he was
Yeah,
consistently hitting some good numbers. So I knew it was possible. So I had no doubts around the sort of, is this real? Um,
yeah,
and for me, from the get-go, I knew it was possible. And I was like, okay, I'm smarter than all the people out there. I'm sorry, like I know I am a smart cookie, right? Like I'm smarter than people out there and I'm going to work harder than people out there. So I was like, okay, if they can
yes,
achieve it, I can achieve it.
yes,
Easy. Right? So that was
yeah,
sort of from the get-go my thing. But then there were a lot of doubts on being on the right offer, having the right vehicle, sort of a lot of doubts on do I des like some subconsciously probably around do I deserve this? Do I actually deserve
ooh,
making that much money?
yeah,
Because if you look at it, you make more money than a medical profession, a doctor, a surgeon, a lawyer, like those sort of professions. And I make way more money. Last month, I made way more money than those people. And so there was
yeah,
this moment of like, do I actually deserve to have that much money? Like, what's my value and my contribution to
yeah,
society to actually make that?
yeah,
And then, so I think there was something around that, which was probably somewhere also tied to having been an academic and putting in a lot of value into my brain.
yeah.
So for me, there was some acceptance around what I do is actually extremely valuable because it does help people.
Mm.
So yeah.
Very, very good things that like you touched on there. And like what I'm curious about, right, is because sales is a male dominated industry at the end of the day, right?
Hmm.
Very, very male heavy. What do you
Hmm.
think? What do you think the difference is between men versus women in sales? And what would you say to women that, are looking to get into sales, but are maybe questioning like if this is for them, if they can do it because it is so male heavy?
So first of all, I think like women have a natural advantage in sales because being surrounded by many male closers, one of the key challenges that they have is around how do I get a prospect to open up? And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, that's just like emotional maturity. Like I never had a problem, never in my life did I have a problem for a prospect to open up to me. And that was not because I have crazy skills. It was just because humans are more naturally wired to open up towards women because we show trust.
Yeah.
So just that people have their guards are lower when they speak to women. We are, I'm not sure if it's born or if we are raised in a way where we have just more emotional maturity, where we are more empathetic, where we can listen better and reflect better what people say. So a big part of sales is really actually hearing what a prospect is trying to say and not coming in with your own interpretation of what they're going to say. And I think because women, I don't know, maybe have a lower ego or something like that. I
Yeah.
think it's a little bit easier for us to tap into the space where you're fully open to hear what the other person has to say and you're not already, thinking you're smarter than the actual person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for women that are, they're looking at getting into sales, right? Or even to
Mhm.
yourself, if you were to you were to sit down, you're having a conversation with yourself 10 months ago, what if you could give her one piece of advice, what would you say to her?
Mhm. Oh, that's a good one. Let me think about that for one moment. Because I would tell myself a lot ten months ago, but like probably the number one is like stop selling yourself so short.
Ooh, very
Like just stop.
powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful. And then,
Yeah.
the next question I wanted to ask is sales is it's not rosy at the end of the day. There's
Mm-mm.
highs and there's lows. There is
Mm-hmm.
lows. And people don't come into the industry expecting that, right? And even for me, right? Like my first coach scammed me out of 10K. I was on offers that didn't pay me out commissions. Like I went through the ringer in the beginning.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people quit because they mentally were not prepared for the challenge of it. For
Yeah.
you, what was the hardest thing that you had to overcome in sales? And what really was the mindset that allowed you to dig deep and push through?
Mm, mm. So the offer I'm on now, I was basically the second offer I was on. The first one, I realized after 2 or 3 weeks, okay, that was not it. There was a huge value misalignment because I was like, I don't want to sell for these people. But then I got onto the offer that I'm on now, and this offer is amazing. But it was ramping up at the time, and it wasn't an immediate success. Right. So I believed in the offer, but it wasn't an immediate success. It was like hard work to get the offer now to make like where I'm now making over 20, 30K basically. And there's an upwards trajectory to that. Um, and so in that sort of journey, it was for me always the sort of push and pull internally between believing into an offer and seeing that it's so aligned on so many fronts and I have so much trust in it to also then having this sort of outside noise of everyone having these massive wins and telling me also, oh, you need to leave, you need to quit. And I tell myself I need to leave, I need to quit because I'm in it for the money. So I think for me, it was like I am not purely motivated by the money. Like the money is fun, but now having made that money last month, it's sort of like yeah, okay, cool. What's next?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's for me, it's the challenge and the sort of experience. Okay, I want to figure this out. And for me, it was
Yes.
really the sense I want to figure out how I can sell this at this price point. Like I wanted to understand how can I
Yes.
sell this product and then it also tied to that, like there are so many amazing offers out there. I know there are like great AI offers out there and great trading offers. None of that would excite me whatsoever. None of it would give me a sense of like I'm actually here to help people. My offer is very personal development focused, right? And like I know some of these clients that start working with us, we're fundamentally changing their life trajectory. So there's a
Yeah.
huge satisfaction from that as well. But like for me, the biggest shift was, and the biggest sort of leverage point was really understanding what am I here to do, and
Mm.
then realizing, oh, the money is just a natural consequence of what I'm
And
doing.
you said something really, really interesting there, right? Is you were so focused on how can I sell this? How can I be excellent at my craft that the money was a byproduct. When you chase skills, when you chase excellence, you will get paid to the amount of value that you bring to the market. But too many people are so focused on like the money, that it doesn't click because they're not looking at the right thing. When you chase a certain standard, when you chase a certain level of excellence, is you will never go hungry a day in your life. And it's my favorite thing about sales because once you learn these skills, no one can take it away from you.
Yeah,
No one. And no one ever made less money by getting better at sales. Now,
100% agree.
something that I did also want to ask you about, right? Because, we've done some like trainings, we've done a lot of trainings together.
Yeah,
What has been the most helpful thing for you?
I love that because we've done quite a bit of training, and there was a period where there was a lot happening, and it was right before I hit the big month. So it was actually only a few weeks ago, and then suddenly it just started to work out. And then I had periods where I had 100% close rate. And now I think I'm currently, actually, you know what? Let me look this up because I think I'm at 80% or so close rate right now. So let
80%
me
close
not
rate.
let me not lie. So I'm at 85.7% close rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so the biggest leverage point I would say was number one. I was always really comfortable and confident in my discovery. I never had an issue with that. The one issue probably that I had was sometimes chasing the right rabbit hole. But the training that we've done, there were two major learnings. Number one is at what I typically, when I challenge a prospect, it takes me 15 questions that you take two questions. And was like sort of understanding of like how do you get to that point in two questions when it takes me literally 15 minutes and playing 200 questions, like what am I missing? So to shorten that, because it makes not just the call, you have limited time, so you need to be mindful of that, but also just like makes the question land much like harder and better. And then the second one was the idea of what objections are. Because I had that sort of idea, I hate objections because I felt they were sort of uncomfortable, they were uncomfortable for me. And we trained a lot of objections, but I think it was less about the actual real skill than, which was great, which I definitely massively improved on, but it was the sense of being comfortable in the moment when someone is working through. Because I think in one of the trainings, what you said was when they give you an objection, they're actually asking for help to make that decision. And that was
Yeah.
and then you were saying like, oh, and that's the moment for you to lean back. And through that practice and really that sort of moment, getting comfortable in the leaning back. Because
Yeah.
I'm personally like not someone that's great at metaphors and word tracks.
Yeah.
But I'm really good at reminding people why they were here and what their problem was, and that the problem is showing up in the objection. And for me, it was really this switch from going, oh, they're giving me reasons why they won't do it, to they're actually asking me for help to make that decision. That was
Yeah.
like,
It's a very powerful shift when you come to realize it's like, oh, this has nothing to do with me or
no,
being uncomfortable. Like this has
yeah,
everything to do with them
yeah,
and them getting the help and like me like doing my job is like whether you like me or you don't, like it's a disservice to not
mhm,
challenge people. It's like if your friend's drunk out of their mind, they've had 8 tequilas and they go to take the and they go to drive and take their keys. In the
yeah,
moment, they may be like, oh, how dare you, so mad, steaming. And the next day, when they're still alive and their car's not in a bush, they go, thank you. And it's the same thing with prospects is they may dislike you in the moment for
yeah,
holding their feet to the fire, for challenging them. But in
hmm
6 months down the line, when you've changed their life because you held them accountable to the version of themselves that they told you they want to be,
yeah.
is when they come back and they say thank you. And
And
that,
what's so interesting? I find the clients that
yeah,
are the most satisfied and happiest in the journey of working together are actually the ones that gave you the most
yeah,
objections. Because they had their first
yes,
life transformation by actually going through the objections and becoming that new version.
yeah,
Clients that are so completely objection and frictionless, sometimes they become a little bit of a headache later on because they actually
yeah,
didn't have to ask those questions. And one of the deals I closed on Saturday, even though I wasn't even
yeah.
working, was someone who gave me 1001 objections. Like he gave them all to me
Oh yeah,
from I
everything under
believe,
the sun.
like
Yeah,
everything. And it was like, and then we ended the call on the objection where he was like, he wanted more deliverables from us for 15% less of the price. And my response was, no, we can give you more because you clearly want more work from us, but that's then the price attached, and that's a way higher price than what I was originally pitching.
Yeah.
And that I had this conversation with him on Thursday, and we, after an hour and a half of objection handling, ended at he will think about it. And like there was no way for me to go anywhere at that point. Also, to be frank, I was exhausted at that point. I was like, okay, I will accept defeat at this moment. Hadn't heard from him Thursday evening, haven't heard from him all of Friday. Saturday, I sent him just a summary of the things that I've observed and like a sort of message in the call of like what I believe was happening in the objections actually and sort of patterns showing up. And then at one point Saturday, he texted me like, yeah, send me payment link. And then actually for the higher price. So
Ah,
I originally pitched him 15K and he wanted payment link for
yeah.
21.5K. And I was like, okay.
Wow. And something as well, right? You've been closing like not only have you been closing a high percent, but you've been closing like big ticket on a very high percentage. And what's interesting is a lot of like female, or not even just female reps, a lot of reps in the space, believe that, that it's not possible to close at
Yeah,
60, 70, 80%.
it is.
It is.
It is.
You've heard it here. Because that's the thing is it's like I speak from my own experience where it's like my average close rate was well above 50% on many different offers,
Yeah,
B2B, B2C, you name it. And
yeah.
so it's like almost a limiting belief when it's like you come into a community and you see what's possible. And like I guess like even you being part of like that community and being surrounded by those girls, like how do you feel like that actually like supported you along the way?
I think, I mean, first of all, I'm just who I am. I love support. I love community so much.
Yeah,
Um, and I think there is something around, I don't know, maybe I'm projecting now massively, but I find like people that go into high ticket space, they're typically in their friendship groups or wherever they are in life, the odd ones out because they have a different
yeah,
vision to life than the people that they're surrounded with. And going into high ticket sales was also sort of a journey of a life shift and transformation because suddenly you have different work hours than your friends. And then so you can't just easily hang out with them anymore. Or suddenly, also, quite frankly, you're in a completely different income brackets as your friends. And then you just want to do different stuff and
yeah.
you can't always invite them because you're not there yet, but you also then suddenly are like, okay,
The
there are
lonely
all the amazing
chapter.
things I want to be doing,
Yeah,
but actually now I need to do it with different people. And then also because I think there's a sort of general belief around, oh, money being evil, so a lot of times maybe there's some friction there. So being surrounded by people, and particularly women who are on a similar journey, and
yeah,
want to achieve similar things is sort of you're basically have your in like built-in friends
yeah,
because they understand you on a level where a lot of my friends that are still my friends obviously but don't understand me. So
yeah,
whereas before a lot of my friendships we talked about work, now I avoid talking about work with them because I know they won't get it. Whereas
yeah,
now I have new friends that are understanding it and they understand the sort of excitement of closing a big deal, the excitement of making more money, right?
yeah,
So it's just sort of a switch there. And then just quite naturally, it's also just makes the journey easier in like an emotional way because it is
hmm
an emotional journey. You're going through all these rebirths nearly of yourself and going through it with friends and sharing that and sharing your wins and losses makes it so much easier.
yeah. And something as well, probably one of the biggest like limiting beliefs that I see from reps in the space is it's like, well, I've already invested in like another sales program. So like, is this going to work? Is this going to get me results? And you'd already invested in yourself. You'd worked with, a sales coach like beforehand.
Yeah.
What was like your thought process?
Well, a few things, right? You give the or you get the objections that you give. So you can't
Oh,
sort of like you can't walk around being like, oh, I was burnt before, and then be surprised when your prospects in whatever case come in with that objection, right? So I'm just like, okay, if you know how to reframe a lead on that objection and you know how to reframe yourself and you know the importance of investing in yourself. And I was actually thinking about that, and I'm quoting actually my partner, who was give the eye-opening one for me in that particular respect, because he's just like, do you think any successful person that you know out there I mean, I speak to them, right? They can afford my ticket prices, um, has not been burnt before? Do you think it was an absolute easy journey for them to go to a point where they can pay 70 or PIF 76K? Or do you think that they went through a life journey where there were challenges and they tried something and it didn't work out, or they tried something and it didn't quite hit the spot? And I was like, yeah, probably, right? And for me, I speak to a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, and the one thing that I've learned from them, just as a mindset, is they are so successful because they know exactly what they need and they will go out and find it until that problem is solved, no matter what. No matter what. And I
Very
think when
powerful.
you walk through life knowing, okay, what you want, then it's like you're doing what's going to take for you to get that.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get it, then you need to do more
Yeah.
and work
But
hard.
that's the thing. You look at any successful person, right? You look at, Michael Jordan, you look at Kobe Bryant, all of them had coaches in their corner, right?
Hmm.
All of them had setbacks. All of them, it's
Yeah.
like you're never going to hit a home run on your
Hmm.
first step to bat. And it's like, again, it's like, what type of person are you? Are you the type of person that tries two or three times, or you're the person to do whatever it takes for however long it takes in order for you to
Hmm.
actually achieve the outcome? And again, in a world where anything is possible, why not go for it? Like,
Exactly.
what do you really have to lose?
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously, like, what do you
Yeah.
like? It's like if you actually played out your worst case scenario, what do you actually have to lose?
Yeah.
And to
Going.
those people that are on the fence, right? That are like, they're twiddling their thumbs. Should I do it? Should I
Mhm.
not? I don't know. What would you say to them?
Hell, why sell yourself short when you can be so much more? Like,
Very good. Very good. Last pieces of advice, words of
hmm.
wisdom, anything that you want to share with them.
Mm. Yeah, actually, and that's one of my wins. And for everyone sort of on the fence, like there's nothing that feels as good as when you had your first fantastic month and being able to send money to your family members and then get the call of like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what happened on my bank account? And then also going shopping. And because that was my like first time I went out and I went to a store that I was never able to afford to go to, department store, and I bought so much that at the end they gave me a bottle of champagne because apparently I hit a certain threshold. And I was like, oh, okay. So that is also a reality that I've now entered.
Yeah.
That's very sweet. Like I know it's not all for the money and all of that, but it's a very, very sweet moment.
But it's what the money allows you to do, right? And it's like we say to our
Yeah.
prospects is no one wants to make more money to look at their bank account and say, great, I made $20,000 this month.
Yeah.
When I made for my first $20,000, I booked flights. I booked flights and I was like, oh my gosh, like it was like I was like, I'm actually doing the thing that I wanted to do. I sent money to my family, I sent money to my
Yeah.
brother, right? It was like the joy itself wasn't actually hitting the 20K. It was what that 20K opened and the
Yeah.
doors it allowed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
honestly, like it has been just amazing to watch you grow in the space month after month and really just like develop. And even like when we met in London,
Mhm.
it was absolutely fantastic. And I love that like in-person connection. As much as Zoom is great and everything, I've always been a in-person in-person type of gal. And just like absolutely, hat off to you to just like do something that 99% of these people will never do in their life, which is to not settle for the typical path.
Yeah.
Even after 10 years and everything being like, I should do this, to say, you know what? I'm going to be brave enough to try something new. And it could go wildly wrong, it could wildly fail, it could spectacularly blow up in my face, but I'm going to try anyways.
Yeah.
So kudos to you. Absolute pleasure, as always, to speak to you, Saskia. And for any of the girls who are watching this, where can they find you? Are you on socials? What's the best way for
Hmm.
them?
Hmm. I'm on Instagram, but I am in the bad habit of deactivating my account every once in a while. So if they don't find me, then it's a period of deactivation. But my Instagram is Saskia SC. Oh my God, I think I need to spell it out. Can you like put it on the screen or something? Because
Alrighty,
it's
guys, I
a
would
weird
drop her
spelling.
Instagram when she sends it to me, and you guys can find her. Any questions? If you found this helpful, any takeaways you found it inspiring, please let us know below, and we'll see you guys very soon.